Welcome back everyone to our gameplay series of the new Alpine Farming Expansion here in Farming Simulator 19. So right now we're riding along with Courseplay. So I've been doing quite a bit of testing with Courseplay, and let me just tell you, a lot of aspirin has been needed in order to get where we are right now. A couple of days have passed because I've needed to do some testing on some different routes, different ideas that I had. But right now this guy is nearing the completion of all of his work windrowing. Now the good thing about this particular windrower is that as long as he's doing a down and back style rather than a spiral or a circular style, then he'll actually create fewer windrows. So it works out very nicely. Unfortunately, that causes some issues with the loading wagon as far as duplication of the route, but overall it works. I've had a little bit of an issue with these guys getting stuck on trees and rocks, but overall, not a huge problem. So when we left off last time, I mentioned that I was going to do some testing with Courseplay and also maybe get into the auto drive a little bit. I've been doing both. Courseplay is going well so far with a few snags here and there, and I can usually tell when a snag is happening or about to happen because the frames drop significantly down into the 20s or even lower whenever these guys get stuck on something or have a situation they can't really figure out how to get themselves out of. But so far, so good on this front. Now, we don't want to stick with mowing this particular area for hay forever. We're going to want to move into a more traditional type of field just to keep things fairly simple. Now, I wanted to stick with this guy just so we could see how he works around the rocks and trees in this area. He is using the turn on the field option, so make sure we have that on for sure, because I tried it with it off, but unfortunately they just could not work their way around the rocks and trees. So it takes a little longer this way, but it has worked out quite well. Now if we move over to this guy, this is the guy I've been using for the auto drive. And the reason I've been using him for auto drive is because he will not work with Courseplay, at least not that I've been able to surmise as of now. And as best I can figure, the reason he can't work with Courseplay is because of the electric engine. Everything else I've tried with the gas-powered engines has been perfectly fine. So I'm just going to have to assume that right now Courseplay has no way to use an electric motor, since it has the fuel burn that it simulates and the ability to top off the fuel and so on. It really isn't sure what to do with this guy. So for that reason, I have been using him for the auto drive. In fact, if I turn auto drive back on, you can see we've got some routes that I've been working on, some very basic routes. I haven't really had an opportunity to add very many destinations in here just yet, but I've run some basic routes around the map. To give you an idea, I've run routes, let's see, down in this area, up and back. The main street that runs through here, I've run both directions on that. Now, I don't plan on using both directions a whole lot, but we have those mapped out. I have some basic mapping for this area, as well as in through the main city area, which is where you see that we're located right now. I've run a route into and around the Chocolatier right up here. In fact, you can see a destination there, and I'm going to need to add a destination here for the supermarket as well. So I'm slowly but surely adding some of these in, but it is proving to be a very difficult task simply because of how narrow some of these areas are. I've turned off the traffic for now, but yeah, there is a lot going on. Here you can see up at our starter farm area, here's Courseplay working on the windrowing, and he'll be done here in just a few minutes. But then we notice that we've got one guy over here that's not moving. So let's go ahead and get over to him. And this is the guy who has been picking up, using the loading wagon. He's been picking up the hay to deliver over to the barn. Now, I don't have a route just yet that'll take him from the field over to the barn to unload. And the reason I don't is because I was actually a little surprised. If we come over to the cows, we're already full. I wasn't sure how much hay these guys would need since we only have 10 of them right now, but I've been surprised at how little they needed. I didn't bother doing any of the math calculations on how much they would need, but I can tell you this area was enough. That's really all they required. Now, in fairness, this area was doubled up because remember I told you the last time we were together that any grass or hay that you leave on the field not picked up, the next time you cut, it will simply be added to the total, and that's exactly what happened over here. So right now, that is the only area of hay that we have needed. The rest of this is simply going to be for future use. So I've had to change our plans a little bit just based on some of the testing and whatnot, but the good news is we've got plenty of hay to last us quite a while, at least for 10 cows. However, you notice that our productivity is at 0, and that's because I've been waiting till we were back together again in order to take care of their water. We need to take care of that. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and get rid of course play for right now. And you're also going to notice the implements have been moved around quite a bit. You notice on the right-hand side here, there's some implements here from the mower, tedder, and that's also where the windrower was as well. So yeah, I've been moving things around as I was testing. Sometimes it worked out just fine. Other times, not so much. So let's go ahead and park this guy because we don't need him any longer. In fact, I'm just going to park him right over here out of the way for right now because we need to pick up the water tank, which is going to be right over in this area. So it's going to be the next to last tank in line. And I've also been thinking quite a bit about the future and how we want to progress. We've talked some about taking out bank loans to expand. And if we take a look at our financial condition, now I have gone, as I said, a couple of days. So we've got a small amount of expenses. Those are simply equipment expenses as well as taxes on the land. Today we spent a little bit more money because we have gotten some fuel. So we have a little bit more cost there as well as the wages as we get going with course play. But we still got plenty of money right now, but to my surprise, there was no bank loan. I had fully expected to see that there would be an amount here that we've already used to, in the situation of our story, this would have been the startup expenses for purchasing our equipment, our land, the house, and so on, but that's not where we started. So we have 0 loan, so any money that we borrow, we could put to immediate use. But for right now, what I think I want to do is purchase some more cows. So we're going to come back here in just a moment. We need to take care of our guy in course play as well. I notice on the left-hand side of the screen that he has reached his end point, so that would be the windrower. So we're going to come in and we need to get some income flowing, which means that we need to purchase some more cows. Now, if we come back to our screen, we've got black and white and brown and white. Now, it really doesn't matter a whole lot to me. And you see we've got some milk here that I'm going to sell as well today. So let's come back, and I think I'm just going to stick with the black and white. The brown and white are just fine for me, but what I am most used to in my area would be the black and white. So we've got 10 right now, and they're $2,500 a piece. I'm going to use up the rest of this money, and we're going to see how far we can get. Now, we can't quite, if we go back into our dialogue, we can't quite go to, say, 100 or 200 and so on, simply because of our equipment. So if we come back to our garage area and we move over, let's see, is it going to show me in here? Is it? Yeah, there it is. The cow pasture. You see that our limit is 50. So what I want to do is go ahead and fill that up to the 50. That will give us the max we can do here. Then next, we're going to talk about here in a few moments where I want to expand here in the near future and what I want to do with the existing property, or at least what I have designed for right now. So $2,500 at the animal dealer. Let's go ahead and spend a little bit of money. Now, we don't have a trailer, so we're going to have to pay the fee in order to have them delivered, but that's perfectly fine with me. So you can see we're adding these, and our total is increasing. I'm going to go ahead and spend all of this because we can always borrow some more money, quite a bit more money, actually. So we're going to go ahead and get this up to about 91. That'll leave us a little bit extra. Actually, we can go a little bit higher than that. They're only 2,500 right here. So this will leave us a couple of thousand for right now. All right, so we go ahead, take care of that. Now we're up to 45, so we're nearly maxed out. Okay, now we can come back and take care of our water. Okay, then we'll take care of course play. All right, let's see if we can get this guy out of here. I had forgotten that this particular model of tractor is a four-wheel steer. So you're going to be able to, if I zoom in a little bit, as I turn, you'll see both the front and the rear wheels turning. That messed me up a little bit when it first started happening because I was not prepared for that. All right, here we go. And you notice that we haven't really seen anything to trigger us on the screen, but if you notice in the top left-hand corner, the R key is to start filling, and that pops up as soon as we get within range here. So I'm going to go ahead, hold that down, and in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, next to the speedometer, you see that the water tank is indeed filling up. Now this small tank is going to be plenty for right now, I would imagine, but we're about to find out because we are completely out. Now the water area, the water trough for our cows is right here. And now we see the pop-up at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and fill as much water as it will allow. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. You can see the water as it's filling into the trough. So actually it looks like we're going to need multiple tanks here. Okay, indeed. Let's actually take a look. Where are we on the water? Oh yeah, we're definitely going to need more than that. Alright, so we will simply make the spin. So after a few minutes, that will actually get the productivity. Actually, no, it took immediately. I'm used to this taking a few minutes for it to actually take effect and get our productivity back going. But it's already jumped up there. And then we should very shortly see the reproduction rate come in as well. Because we do have a little bit of room here for the animal breeding. All right, there we go. So let's get them some water in there. We don't have to fill it completely up, but while we're here, we're going to get plenty to at least last a couple of days. And again, you can always see just how much it's filling by zooming in here on the animal trough. So whenever we're done with the watering, we're going to have food as well as water taken care of for several days, which is going to give us the ability to concentrate on some other things. Maybe complete some jobs for the other farmers in the area. That's going to be a source of income that we can tap into. It also gives you a discount on the different fields if you do some work for that particular farmer, the one who owns that field you're interested in, but we're probably not going to be doing enough of those to make any real difference. All right, let's go ahead and take care of the water here. Let's go back in. Yeah, this is going to be plenty once we drop this off. Again, it won't fill it completely up, but it's enough to last multiple days. Now, also you notice that our hay has gone down. How come? Well, we just purchased a whole bunch of cows. That means that we can get back into course play and get our guy back going again. So a lot going on, but I really needed to bring you guys in so that we can really do the bulk of the work today. And I also wanted to show you guys sort of where we are. Now, one of the next steps as we continue to grow is I'm going to be selling off some of the equipment. I mentioned earlier that I don't really work with bales, simply because we're going to be taking the hay straight into feeding the cows. So for now, we don't have any need for any of the baler or anything like that. So actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let this water run out. And then as soon as it's done that, we're going to actually leave the trailer right here. Okay, so if we take a look at our garage, let's take a look at some of the things that we may not need. Now, obviously, we can get rid of a lot of this. We could really get rid of the electric if we wanted to, but I'm kind of growing attached to it. And it is turning out to be a very handy tool to use when I'm creating the routes. So I'm keeping it around for just that reason. Now, I'm also planning on keeping 2 tractors. This is going to allow me to use multiple pieces of equipment through courseplay at the same time. So for right now, we're good to go there. However, this additional way of mowing the grass, I really don't have any use for that. So we'll be selling that here before too long. Really don't have any use for the pickup truck, although having a pickup truck around on a farm is almost a requirement. So I'm going to have to think long and hard before selling it. Same thing with our trailer. We don't really have a use for this type of trailer right now, since we're not growing any grains or anything like that we would be using it for. Same thing with our plow. Also, our beginner equipment, I'm thinking about upgrading that so we can get these tasks done a little bit quicker, get some larger working width. And that, in this case, for the mower, means acquiring additional mowers that will fit on either side to greatly increase the working width. Similar things here with the tedder and windrower. And then eventually, want to do the same thing with our wagon. But we get to our baler. This is a very expensive baler, and we don't really have a use for it simply because I don't work a lot with the bales. That means that this attachment doesn't mean a whole lot. So we've got some money that we can clear up simply through that means. All right, so this guy is now done. We need to take care of him. Let's get him back over here. In fact, we'll probably use him for the milk. So we'll use him on the milk trailer. Or we could simply bring him back over and have him do the loading wagon. Either one, it really makes no difference. Either one of these guys really have the necessary power to do these things. But I'm actually going to have him load up the milk here in just a moment. So we'll get that loaded. Then we'll get this loading wagon started back with courseplay. So yeah, I've been doing quite a bit of planning on where I wanted to go. And at one point, it didn't look like courseplay was going to be realistic, at least on the starter area, until we could get into some better areas of the farm. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy out of the way for just a moment. And we'll move him into the proper location here in just a minute. Okay, we're going to leave our water tank right there for now. All right, so I need to pick back up the loading wagon. Now, the real question is, where did I leave it? There it is. Four-wheel steering very much comes in handy in a situation like this. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy turned around. You see we've got a little bit of extra there. That's where I was cleaning out the pen for the cows. Oop. All right, there we go. But yeah, when you're cleaning it up with the loading wagon, I forgot that it turns it into silage, and I didn't have anything to do with it, so I just sort of dumped it on the side. But for now, we need this guy. He's still got the proper... Let's see if we can get him back up and going here. All right, there we go. So I believe we need to be in this direction. So we've got the proper route up and going. So I'm just going to point him in this direction. Now he's going to waste a little bit of time here probably as he's turning, because remember, he's going to use, even though I'm using the same course, yep, in fact, he's going to do it right now. I'm not sure why on earth he's doing that, but he's going to do it nonetheless. And let's see, did I... Oh, that's why. I forgot to put him back on that. Yeah, there we go. Let's go ahead and back him into position. I hate it when that happens. Forgot to turn him back on to field work. And if I do that, he's not going to do anything right. But, ooh, look out. We're going to jackknife this thing if I'm not careful. All right, there we go. Get this guy turned around a minute. All right, let's hope that the next closest waypoint to him he sees as right in front of him. Now, I've got him using an offset simply because of the way the wind roller works. And there you go. Yeah. It's not taking long. He's going to be full. So we're going to stick with him for just a moment. And remember, this is because he's doubling up. This is actually 2 cuttings of hay on the field, and we have a very small loading wagon. So our forage wagon does not have very much capacity. So this guy is filling up very quick. In fact, let's just go ahead and stop him right here. And get this unloaded. Because otherwise he's going to be done very quickly. Alright, so our unload point for the hay is over here on the side. Okay, see the pop-up at the bottom of the screen. Partially covered up by the course plate. Alright, if we pull up our screen, yeah, you can see that, again, this isn't going to be anywhere near full just yet, but we've got plenty of time for that, and we've got a couple of days worth of food for these guys. So we're going to set this guy back in motion over here and let him do his job. He's going to again fill up very quickly, but that's okay because we're not in dire need of any of this. We're going to instead focus on, let's see where he decides to go. All right, nope, he's going to go back over here, and then he'll eventually make his way over. So we're going to let him do his thing for a little while. All right, so our milk is on the other side over there, I believe, if I remember correctly. I believe the milk is actually right over here. You can notice, you can see it because the milk jugs are sitting out right over here. This is in kind of a bad spot if you've got, there we go. Once again, nothing pops up on the screen down at the bottom or anything, but if you look in the top left-hand corner of the screen, there's the start filling. So, not much right now, but we're going to take what we can get just so that we have an opportunity to go and sell it. So now, where do we want to head to sell this? Let's see. Here's our milk, and let's see, the chocolatier. Oh, that's exactly where I want to send him because, for multiple reasons. Obviously, number one is because it's the chocolatier. And number two, I want to see if auto drive has enough of a course just yet to do this. So let's actually turn this guy on. And we want him to go to the chocolate. Let's see, what did he say? I think he said he doesn't have a route. Yeah, he doesn't. All right, so I didn't quite get enough for him to do that. All right, no big deal. We'll just work with it. Because the way I've got it designed right now is that these guys are going to come down the hill. So this is a sort of a one-way through the farm. They'll come down here, they'll get to the main street, and for our purposes, see, we're going to turn right here. We could have easily turned left and headed down the street there. But if I pull this up, you can see that I've already got some of the basics worked out. In fact, I thought I had enough that we could have use it for this purpose, but turns out we didn't quite have what we needed, so I'll deal with that a little bit later as I continue to work through the auto drive. Every time I hear those chickens, and you can hear them in the background, or we'll just say generic, the birds in the background, it sounds like the dodo birds in Ark. Every time I hear it, it takes me to Ark. All right, so once again, we're going by the main area of fields right now. This is where the bulk of the fields are on the map. So we've already got auto drive through here, so I can simply make some branches off of this. The roundabouts are a little bit tricky when you're trying not to hit anything, especially when you're trying to allow for what will become some of the bigger equipment that could be coming through here, like semis or something like that, that might be pulling a much larger tank as we continue to grow and have a whole lot more of the cows. So what we'll do here is we're taking the long way. I have routes all through here. And again, I'll pull back up this. So we've got, right now we just got a one-way route, but it's going right through here. And I'm sure I'll have to make some adjustments once I actually begin to use this route and send the AI down through here. I'm sure they're going to be bumping into stuff. All right, let's see. What is he saying? He cannot reach the chocolate factory. Well, he should be able to. So, because one of the last routes I actually did was to get the chocolate factory up and running. All right, in fact, let's stop right here because one of the areas I may have messed up. Yep, I believe this is it. This is why he couldn't get there. There is no connection. So, if you guys will give me just a moment, we're going to try to take care of this right now. All right, so let's go ahead and first thing I want to do is drag this guy out a little bit to about right there. All right, let's back up. I'm sort of in the way with the tractor for what I'm trying to do, so I'm just going to try to drag him out. There we go. So we're going to do this guy to this guy. That is not a wonderful deal, but I think this might actually work. Of course it didn't. It didn't work mainly probably because it knew that I was recording and I wanted to show it working. All right, so I'll come back to that. So I'm missing a connection somewhere. Because right now you can see we're going all the way through here. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the destination for the chocolate factory. So now we'll turn in, and hopefully somewhere along the way, if I leave this up and running, then we'll see exactly what's missing. Okay, so we drop off the milk right here. And in the top right-hand corner, you can see we got $42.90, $4,290. Okay, I know our guy needs to be unloaded. All right, there we go. That is all good. So that connection was there, back out to the main road, or at least the main road through the town area. And then right here, we do have a connection, but interesting. Give me just a second here. I'm going to try and just put a basic connection on right there. Not a beautiful thing by any stretch, but it'll suffice for right now. All right, and again, I'm going to go the way that I have this laid out, which is one way through the farm. The area here on the right, that's only for going down to the main street. That's for leaving the farm. So the way we get into the farm through auto drive is going to be up on the right here. All right, right over here. However, instead, what I want to do is pull right off the screen. Off the road rather, and pull right into here. So if we hop out right in here and take a look at the map. So here's where we are. Right around field number 4. So if I highlight this, $285,000. But not only does it give us access to field number 4, which we would then plant with grass, it also gives us all of this area on the side, which you will notice is flat. So this is where I want to do some building, some additional room for more cows. You know, we have 50 that we can fit up on the current starting farm area, but we've got a lot of area here on the side that I want to use for more cows. We may even do some sheep over here as well, because field number 4 is plenty big enough to accommodate a lot of grass-eating animals anyway. And then from there, once we pull back up the map, we can expand into field 3. I would probably split it in half and divide it into 2 different fields. So we've got all 3 of these fields that are nearby. And if we continue to look at this, so field 4 is going to give us a lot of room right through here. Field 2 does the same thing. So if we come over to the other side of this, now it's not all going to be flat, but we have a nice area near the main road that's going to be flat. And then we've got this area over here that we can use for additional animals and or storage for our vehicles. So a lot of room over here. We're probably going to need a hay barn as we continue going forward. So we've got room, plenty of room over here for that. All right, so if we come back over, let's see, what did field 2 give us? Okay, so it gives us all of this. Unfortunately, this isn't really going to be usable, but all of this area up here is very usable. Not exactly flat, but I think it's flat enough that we can make it work with a little bit of help from the landscaping. Again, it might simply be used for vehicle storage, something like that. It's got nice access to the road here that we can use. So all of this is very good for the future. We've got plenty of road access, and you also notice that we can cut down through here. We can get rid of some of these trees and very easily get back to our main farm area. So yeah, again, there's plenty of area, and we're going to have access to all of this once we purchase field number 4. But for right now, we'll hold off on doing that until we actually need that. So let's head over to our guy here who is completely full. We'll stop the driver. It won't be hard to figure out where we need to bring him back to. But yeah, a lot of upgrades we're going to need to do in the future so that we can simply have more capacity, get things done quicker, and eventually expand things out. So then, as we finish up today's video, the question becomes, what are we going to do with our existing land, the land that we're working right now for grass and hay? Well, I've thought of that as well. Now, we can always use that area continually for hay, but as I mentioned, once we get down to field number 4, it's going to be huge, and we're simply not going to need this area back here anymore for the production of grass or hay. All right, so let's get this guy up and running, and then I'll show you exactly what I plan to do with this area. Now, some of this is going to be well into the future. It's going to take us several videos probably to get there, because we're going to need to earn some money to make some of this happen, as well as starting to borrow some money as well. Let's go ahead and have him drive the course and see if he'll get right where we want him. And sure enough, he does. Okay, awesome. So as we come out here, what I have planned to do with this area, since it has a wonderful look to it, a nice rolling hills area, what I want to do, if we come in under the store, now we're under the placeable section as opposed to the vehicles and the tools section. Under placeables, if I go miscellaneous, now I had mentioned to you guys that there are some mods that I really enjoy using. A few things we're going to end up doing. Vehicle workshop will be down near field 4. I'll probably add another water station down there at some point. But what I really want to do, the bee houses. So the bee houses, 20,000 each, regardless of which one of these we choose. And they're going to make some income for us, $30 per hour. So that's going to give us a little bit of money per day. And what we're trying to do right now is build up our income base. That's our ultimate goal. So we have a few plans in mind. We're going to work our way down toward field 4, which is right over there. In fact, you can see our milk tank just there ahead. So we're going to slowly expand out into the surrounding area. So again, right now, we already own this area. My plan is to put the bee farm right in through here and possibly also down in front. There's a couple of other mods I've been looking at for some small scale type stuff that I think will look really good as decoration, but definitely the bee farm up here, and that's going to give us a huge area to expand that. And then we're going to need more animals down in and around field 4, and I am very excited about the possibilities we have for the near future. So as we are now, we've done a lot today. We've taken care of the cows. Now you see the reproduction rate. So how often are we going to get a new cow? We've got room for 5 as it is right now. We've got about 32 and a half hours or so before we get another cow, which is perfectly fine, but that's going to be another source of income. We'll let that continue to move on. We'll borrow some money, expand, and so on. So the ball is rolling. We're going to be getting new equipment, new lands, more cows, and maybe even some other things along the way. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and stay tuned for more gameplay of the new Alpine Farming Expansion.